there, welcome back to Pepper Geek. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make a simple jalapeno hot sauce. Jalapeños are one of the world's favorite peppers, and with good reason. They're thick-walled, crunchy, just the right heat level, and they have so many uses. We grow them every year and like to do things like make jalapeno poppers and pickle them, fresh salsa, and of course, hot sauce. So today we'll share a really simple, fresh recipe that will make a great green jalapeno hot sauce. It's really not that complicated. If you just picked your peppers, you can be enjoying the sauce today. Before I get started, we're working on a spicy cookbook, so if you're interested in all sorts of different spicy recipes, from appetizers to entrees, sauces, and everything in between, check out the link in the description below. Okay, so let's start with the ingredients in this hot sauce. First, of course, you have your jalapeños. We'll be using about a half a pound of jalapeños, and depending on the size of the jalapeños you have, it should fall somewhere between 6 and 8 peppers. These are nice medium-sized green jalapeños, and we're using 6 for the recipe. Next up is half an onion, 2 cloves of garlic, a half a teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar, which is optional. Some people don't like to sweeten their hot sauce, so feel free to omit the sugar. You'll also need 10 fresh sprigs of cilantro, which we'll add in toward the end, and then 1 cup of water and 2/3 of a cup of white vinegar. You'll also need just a little bit of olive oil to add to the pan. Now I feel obligated to say, if you want to spice up this hot sauce and make it a little bit spicier, feel free to throw in something like a Serrano or a Fresno, something with a little more heat if you like it especially hot. I wouldn't necessarily add habaneros to this recipe, although you definitely could try that, but we do have a dedicated habanero hot sauce recipe, which I'll link down below. Now for accessories, you'll need a blender, and you'll need 2 pans, 1 cast iron pan to sear the peppers and the onion, and a medium to large pot to simmer the fresh ingredients. Oh, and you'll need a container in which you'll put your hot sauce. So we've got this woozy bottle, and we also have this sort of swing top bottle. Whatever you have lying around that seals, you can use a ball jar or anything like that. With that, let's get started making the sauce. Start by halving the onion and removing the skin. And then just cut it roughly into quarters. So just a few nice large chunks of onion. Then break off the stems of the peppers. And lastly, crush up the garlic and cut the pieces in half. Just crush them really well with your hand or the back of a knife, remove the skins, and cut them in half. So with all the fresh ingredients prepped, let's move over to the cast iron skillet and get cooking. We're gonna sort of sear or roast these, so get the pan up to medium-high heat, add just enough oil to coat the pan, maybe about a half a teaspoon or so, and then toss in all of your ingredients. The jalapeños, the chopped onion, and the garlic. We also decided to throw on that Serrano pepper for a little extra heat. You want to shake the pan pretty frequently and stir it around so that everything coats evenly with the oil. And after 4 to 5 minutes, you should start to see some browning or blackening on the skin of the jalapeños. I like to use a pair of tongs to turn the peppers and make sure that the browning is even on all sides. You'll start to smell the amazing aroma of the peppers, the garlic, and the onions melding together. Just look at that garlic caramelizing there. It's gonna be so much tastier after searing than if you used them fresh. And that's really all you need. We just wanna sort of release those flavors from the garlic and the skin of the peppers, and then we're gonna remove them from the heat. Next, we'll come back to the cutting board and chop all of the ingredients, just a rough chop. You don't have to go dicing it up really small because everything is headed for the blender anyway. Now, we prefer not to remove the seeds for this recipe just because the peppers are really hot at this point. But if you really want to get rid of them, you could wait for them to cool at this point and scrape them out with a spoon. That inner pith is where all of the heat is, so by removing all of the white part inside of the pepper along with the seeds, you'll reduce the heat and a little bit of bitterness as well. Next, bring that 1 cup of water to a boil in your medium or large pot and add in the peppers and onion. Bring it up to a boil and reduce the heat to simmer for about 5 minutes. You just want to get the ingredients nice and soft and ready to blend. Again, you don't need a super vigorous boil at this point. You don't want to boil off all of the water. Just a nice slow simmer is all you need. Once everything's softening up nicely, you want to add in the garlic, the cumin, the salt, and the sugar. Mix that really well and remove it from the heat. And with that, let's get back to the blender and bring it all together. Once everything's nice and dissolved, we can bring it back and get ready to blend it all up. You might want to let this cool a little bit depending on the type of blender that you're using. And I've found that heating up vinegar can lead to an unpleasant sort of metallic taste. So that's why we're adding the vinegar at the end here along with the cilantro. So while that cools just a little bit, let's talk about cilantro. 10 sprigs, fresh cilantro, give or take. If you really like cilantro and you love the fresh flavor like we do, feel free to add a little bit more and taste as you go. But for this, I'll just be using a nice handful of cilantro and just give it a really rough chop, just enough to get it into the blender. So with that, let's get the cooked ingredients into the blender carefully. Throw in the cilantro and the white vinegar. And with that, let's blend it up. We'll start on low. Now the flavor will change a bit as it cools and the flavors meld in your bottles, but I can't help but give it a little taste at this point. Oh, so good. It's got that perfect zinginess with the freshness of the cilantro. This is the perfect sauce to use on tacos, burritos, any Mexican food really. But honestly, this will work as an everyday sauce. You can use it on pretty much anything. Oh, you're gonna love this hot sauce. Now this makes about 2.5 cups of hot sauce. Again, if you need to change the consistency, if it's a little bit too thick, just add a little bit of water, 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time, blend it up again and check to see if you like the consistency. So with that, let's bottle the sauce. And would you look at that, this beautiful bright green color. It's still warm, so we'll let it cool on the countertop for an hour or 2 before we refrigerate. But the acidity of this is pretty low, so it should last a long time in the refrigerator, but always check for signs of mold or any sort of spoiling. I'll leave links where you can get these Woozy bottles or the swing tops, along with the funnel, because it can be pretty tricky to get hot sauce into a small bottle. This recipe makes a great starting point if you want to experiment with hot sauces. Start here and work with some of your favorite herbs and spices. Add them at the end just before blending. You can even break it into a couple different batches and sort of experiment however you see fit. But again, this is sort of our go-to jalapeno sauce recipe. It's a great gift. You can bottle it up for your family and friends who like spicy food and give it away during the holiday season. If you have a jalapeno hot sauce recipe that you love in the kitchen, feel free to share it in the comments below. We love trying new sauces ourselves. We always grow a lot of jalapenos, so we'll be sure to check them out and experiment in the future. I hope you love your hot sauce, and if you did, please leave a like on this video. It really helps our channel grow, and we'll see you in the next video.